From the PEP Radio Newsroom, these are the stories we are covering at this hour. President Donald Trump's administration released a lengthy review of transgender health care on Thursday that advocates for a greater reliance on behavioral health therapy rather than broad gender-affirming medical care for youths with gender dysphoria. The 409-page Health and Human Services report questions standards for the treatment of transgender youth issued by the World Professional Association for Transgender Health and is likely to be used to bolster the government's abrupt shift in how to care for a subset of the population that has become a political lightning rod. Medical experts sharply criticized it as inaccurate. This new best practices report is in response to an executive order Trump issued days into his second term that says the federal government must not support gender transitions for anyone under age 19. Our duty is to protect our nation's children, not expose them to unproven and irreversible medical interventions. National Institutes of Health Director Dr. Jay Bhattacharya said in a statement, "We must follow the gold standard of science, not activist agendas." The report also questions the ethics of medical interventions for transgender young people, suggesting that adolescents are too young to give consent to life-changing treatments that could result in future infertility. It also cites and echoes a report in England last year that questioned medical approaches to gender dysphoria as England's health services stopped prescribing puberty blockers to such children outside of research settings. Child and adolescent psychiatrist Dr. Scott Leibowitz, a co-author of the WPATH Standards for Youth, said the new report legitimizes the harmful idea that providers should approach young people with the notion that alignment between sex and gender is preferred, instead of approaching the treatment frame in a neutral manner. The report contradicts American Medical Association guidance, which urges states not to ban gender-affirming care for minors, saying that empirical evidence has demonstrated that trans and non-binary gender identities are normal variations of human identity and expression. It also was prepared without input from the American Academy of Pediatrics, according to its president, Dr. Susan Cressley. This report misrepresents the current medical consensus and fails to reflect the realities of pediatric care, Cressley said. She said the AAP was not consulted, yet our policy and intentions behind our recommendations were cited throughout in inaccurate and misleading ways. In other news, White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz is set to depart the Trump administration. That's according to two people familiar with the matter, which marks the first major staff shakeup of President Donald Trump's second term. Waltz came under searing scrutiny in March after revelations that he added journalist Jeffrey Goldberg to a private text chain on the encrypted messaging app Signal, which was used to discuss planning for a sensitive March 15th military operation against Houthi militants in Yemen. And finally, U.S. District Court Judge Fernando Rodriguez Jr. is the first judge to rule that the Alien Enemies Act cannot be used against people whom the Republican administration claims are gang members invading the United States. Neither the court nor the parties question that the executive branch can direct the detention and removal of aliens who engage in criminal activity in the United States, Rodriguez wrote Thursday. But, he said, the president's invocation of the AEA through the proclamation exceeds the scope of the statute and is contrary to the plain, ordinary meaning of the statute's terms. In March, Trump issued a proclamation claiming the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua was invading the United States. He said he had special powers to deport immigrants identified by his administration as gang members without the usual court proceedings. The Alien Enemies Act has only been used 3 times before in U.S. history, most recently during World War II when it was cited to intern Japanese Americans. The proclamation triggered a flurry of litigation as the administration tried to ship migrants it claimed were gang members to a notorious prison in El Salvador. Rodriguez's ruling is significant because it is the first formal permanent injunction against the administration using the AEA and contends the president is misusing the law. That's the news at this hour. If you are 18 or older, live in Pennsylvania, and are part of the LGBTQ+ community, Please go to paequality.com to complete the 2025 Housing Affordability and Sustainability Survey. Up next is the weather for Meadville on PEP Radio.